Good morning. Welcome to the King's Report this Monday, February 6, 2017, 8th year of Chungi, first month, 10th day by the heavenly calendar. Thank you for joining us, even though it's now 5:20, so 23. We had some technical difficulties. Now we're sorting those through. And let's go now to our weather, and then we'll go straight into our Holy Spirit moment with Mrs. Special K.
Okay. The temperature is 35 degrees outside right now, pretty warm. It's cloudy, and it's going to go up to 37, so it's going to be pretty much the same temperature throughout the day. But then tonight, it's going to go down to 28, and we're going to have some freezing rain, it seems. In fact, the National Weather Service has put out a winter weather advisory for northeast Pennsylvania, so we have to be careful driving. Tomorrow will be 45 degrees, so we're going into a warm spell.
Okay, that sounds great, Tim. Thank you. Now let's go to Mrs. Kang for our spirit
Today,
word.
Mrs. Kang will be reading from Luke 18, Luke chapter 18, verse 8. I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?
오늘 여러분들께 말씀드릴 내용은 누가복음 18장 8절 보게 되면은 인자가 이를 때 세상에 믿는 자를 보겠느냐, 즉 믿는 자를 보기 힘들다고 하고, 그 다음 개역 성경을 보게 되면은 믿음을 보겠느냐, 그러니까 믿음조차도 찾아보기 힘들다는 말씀입니다.
So today I'm speaking on Luke 18, 8, and there Jesus says, nevertheless, when Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? In other words, not just shall he find people who are faithful, but will faith, in fact, exist at all on the earth?
이런 것을 보게 될 때에 신앙길이라는 것은 쉬운 길이 아니었고 참으로 힘들고 어려운 길이라는 것을 우리는 다시 생각지 않으면 안 될 것입니다.
This tells us, reminds us again, that the path of faith is not an easy path. It is a very difficult one.
그래서 우리는 지상에 살아있는 이 기간에 우리가 영원히 가서 살 수 있는 집을 짓지 않으면 안 되는데, 이 집은 자기의 공적에 따라서 집이 지어집니다.
While we are here on earth, we need to be building the house that we will be living in for eternity. But and that house will be built depending on what we do here on earth.
어떤 사람은 금으로 짓고 은으로 짓고 또 보석으로 짓는 사람들이 있는가 하면은 지프로 짓는 거는 초가집이고, 또 흙으로 짓는 집은 토담집이고, 나무로 짓는 집은 목재 건물이 되는 것입니다.
Some people will build their eternal home with gold and silver and jewels, but others will build it with straw, perhaps mud, or perhaps wood.
그래서 이 집은 이미 완공한 사람도 있을 것이고, 또 그 다음에는 절반쯤 지은 사람, 그 다음에는 아직 시작도 하지 않은 사람들이 있을 것으로 알고 있습니다.
I think some people have already completed building that eternal home for themselves. Others may be about half finished, and some people haven't even begun.
그래서 아버님께서 이 길을 가기가 아주 힘든 길이었기 때문에 세상에서 제일 핍박을 많이 받으신 분이 아버님이십니다.
Father knew that this was that this path was very difficult, and that is why he received more persecution than anyone else on earth.
한국으로부터 더 나아가서 미국, 일본, 독일, 프랑스 할 것 없이 세계로부터 많은 핍박을 받아 오셨습니다.
He was persecuted by Korea, by Japan, by the United States, by Germany, by France. He was persecuted all around the world.
그래서 아버님 하신 말씀이 나는 세상에서 이단의 챔피언이 되었다는 말씀도 하셨습니다.
And so Father said, I have become the champion of heretics in the world.
지금 때 와서도 마찬가지입니다. 제일 핍박이 많고 제일 사람들이 욕 많이 하고 또 사람들이 참으로 믿기 힘들다고 하는 곳이 있습니다.
Today is no different. There is a place where that is persecuted a great deal. And there is a place where people say, we cannot believe what is going on there.
이런 곳에 여러분들이 가보면은 여기에서 참을 찾을 수 있고 더 나아가서 여기에 가게 되면은 정말로 하나님이 바라시고 원하셨던 섭리와 뜻을 알 수 있는 곳으로 찾게 될 것입니다.
But when you go to that place that is persecuted the most, that is where you will find truth. And that is where you'll find God's providence.
오늘 센츄리 교회도 마찬가지로 아버님께서 2009년 1월 15일 또 30일, 31일 1월 15일은 한국, 1월 30일, 31일은 뉴욕에서 아버님께서 직접 후계자 또 그 다음에는 대신자 상속자 가인 아벨 3대 왕권으로 아버님이 기도를 하시고 축복을 해주셨지만은 믿는 자는 극히 적은 것입니다.
Same is true with the Sanctuary Church today. On January 15th, 2009, and again on January 31st, Father appointed his successor, his inheritor, and his representative body. He established the three-generation kingships. In January 15th, it was in Korea. Then on January 31st of 2009, it was first in Korea, and then also in New York on the same day. But there are very, very few people who believe, who have faith in that three-generation kingships.
각 종교마다 창시자가 세상을 떠나기 전에 후계자를 세우고 또 대신자, 상속자를 세우는 데가 많이 있습니다.
We see in many religions around the world that when someone founder creates a religion, founds a religion, then before he leaves the earth, he will appoint his successor, his inheritor, and his representative body.
후계자라는 것은 아버님께서 하셨던 일을 맡아서 대신하는 곳을 말하고 또 상속자라는 것도 역시 마찬가지로서 아버님께서 하셨던 일을 상속해 주시는 이 축복을 해 주셨습니다.
Successor means that the person continues to do what Father was doing. He does it in Father's place as Father's representative body. And and also inheritor means the same, that he is inheriting what Father was doing and the resources that Father was using.
그때의 2대 왕으로 또 더 나아가서는 가인 아벨 3대 왕권으로 아버님이 축복하시고 기도해 주셨습니다.
Father has prayed over his successor and his inheritor and representative body then.
아버님이 농담으로 장난으로 하신 것이 아니었고 참이었기 때문에 참으로 이것을 아버님께서 발표하시고 축복하셨다고 저는 믿어집니다.
Father didn't just do this for fun. He was doing this very seriously because this was truth and this is what needed to be done.
그렇기 때문에 오늘 여기 오신 여러분들도 정말로 이것을 후계자로 더 나아가서 대신자로 상속자로 3대 왕권으로 믿으시고 마음에 새기시고 여러분들이 나아가신다면은 아버님 말씀을 순종하는 효자의 입장, 효녀의 입장에 설 수 있을 것입니다. 고맙습니다.
And I would like to say to the people who are here today that if you believe in the three-generation kingships, and if you follow, then you will be able to be in the position of a filial son, a filial daughter of a true father. Thank you very much.
And we'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, here on this Monday, February 6, 2017. Moving directly into the news as we began a little late today. An exclusive on Breitbart, Republican Representative John Ratcliffe, to drain the swamp, we must rein in the bureaucrats' rogue agencies. A Texas Republican congressman told Breitbart News during a sit-down interview in his Capitol Hill office that his two bills now under consideration by the Senate are critical to draining the Washington swamp and taming out-of-control federal regulators. What has changed is that now the circumstances have changed, and the impossible has become now possible, said Representative John Radcliffe, who serves on both his chamber's Judiciary and Homeland Security committees. The Texas congressman refiled two bills: the All Economic Regulations Are Transparent Alert Act, or the Alert Act, and the Separations of Powers Restoration Act, or SOPRA, from last session, the 114th Congress. The bills passed the House on its first day in this new session and are now awaiting consideration by the Senate as part of a larger bill, sponsored by Judiciary Committee Chairman Representative Robert Goodlatte. H.R. 5, Regulatory Accountability Act of 2017, which passed the House January 11th, 238 to 183, with 5 Democrats joining the majority. This historic election of Donald Trump this November sent a clear message to Washington that the American people don't want 8 more years of the same, and Congress owes it to them to deliver on this mandate, Radcliffe said. That's why, right off the bat, I introduced 2 key pieces of legislation that will help heal our nation from the damage done by the immense regulatory overreach imposed under President Obama's watch. The Alert Act blocks bureaucrats from implementing federal regulations without first providing the public with detailed information for at least 6 months before they go into effect. Under current law, the federal agencies are required to release an update twice a year on the regulations being developed by federal agencies, but in the Obama administration, many of the updates were late, if ever issued at all. SOPRA takes on one of the most important Supreme Court decisions to buttress the regulatory state, the Chevron decision, the 1984 ruling that created Chevron deference, a legally binding standard by which federal courts are compelled to defer to how a federal agency chooses to interpret a federal regulation. What began in 1984 as a win for President Ronald Reagan, who successfully defended his administration's interpretation of the Clean Air Act, which allowed Chevron to expand a refinery without having to apply for new permits, as if it was a new plant, grew into a chèque en blanc for federal regulators throughout the government. The congressman said SOPRA seeks to restore the 3 co-equal branches of government by abolishing the doctrine that has often enabled administrative agencies to interpret laws to mean whatever they want. Regardless of what my tenure is in Congress, I don't know how long I'll be here, but I'm confident the Separations of Power Restoration Act will be the most important bill I ever file. Radcliffe said he discussed SOPRA and Chevron defense with Trump during the campaign when the 2 men had a private conversation on October 11th, North Dallas fundraiser. I said, Mr. Trump, when you get elected, I've got one bill in particular that I'm anxious to get to your desk. I think you're really going to like it, he said. Then we talked for about 5 minutes. In their short conversation before Trump spoke to his supporters at the Lincoln Center Hilton Hotel, the congressman said he spelled out how SOPRA would rebalance the relationship between regulators, the courts, and Congress. Quote, he certainly understood the concept and the impact, was not just receptive to it, but said, I'm excited by the opportunity for something like that to become law. He actually sort of extended the conversation. He was very engaged about the specifics. One mentioned to him, he was like, tell me more, but I didn't take that as a promise or anything. On the campaign trail, the president often spoke about the way American individuals and businesses are being strangled by an expanding federal government, Radcliffe said. A few days after the election, Speaker Paul Ryan reached out to Radcliffe about SOPRA and getting it to a vote early in the new session. SOPRA was already a central plank of the Speaker's Better Way agenda, and GOP congressmen and candidates campaign on the issue in their own states. Radcliffe said a great example of how Trump in the White House changes the dynamics on Capitol Hill is that the same week in the last session that the House passed SOPRA, President Barack Obama issued a veto statement that was enough to wave off the Senate from taking up the bill. The congressman said that with Obama in the White House, so many bills brought up and passed in the House, like the Alert Act and SOPRA, became what are known on Capitol Hill as messaging bills. These bills are useful for forcing people to go on the record for or against an issue, but everyone knows they will never actually become law. Before the bill sent the message to the voters, this is what Republicans stand for and what we would do if we had a Republican president. Well, now that's the opportunity at hand, he said. Hillary Clinton promised very much the same as President Obama delivered, essentially a 3rd term. So bills like this would very likely have been dead on arrival in the 115th Congress if she won. Trump winning, he said, this is what I mean by the impossible now becomes possible. Now, House conservatives have an ally in the White House, he said. I am so excited about what can be done, he added. The fact that there is a willing partner at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue will allow essentially the same bills to have a different trajectory. Very interesting article. Excellent acts that are now being proposed as Donald Trump is now the top boss in the country. Further on international news, another article by Brockport on Le Pen. We're at a crossroads, she said. This election is a choice of civilizations. In Lyon, France, French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen blasted globalization and Islamic fundamentalism in her closing speech Sunday of a two-day National Front Party conference, calling them two totalitarianisms threatening France. To applause and cries of "On est chez nous," we are in our land, Le Pen served up the grand themes of the party that have made her a leader in early polls of the spring presidential election. We are at a crossroad. The election is a choice of civilizations, she said, asking whether her three children and her other younger citizens would have the right and culture of the current generation. Will they even speak our French language? Le Pen on Saturday unveiled her 144 commitments, a nationalist agenda that envisions a France unshackled from the European Union and NATO, and that ensures work, health care, and other services for its own citizens amid drastically reduced immigration. She said she is defending both France's material and immaterial patrimony, which has no price and is irreplaceable. Running on campaign slogan of "In the name of the people," Le Pen called out for French patriots on the left and right to join her. In politics, the division is no longer right or left, but patriot versus globalist, she said. You have your place at our side. The National Front has taken heart in the disarray of the left with the unpopularity of the socialist president François Hollande, who decided not to seek a new mandate. The right's-leaning candidate François Fillon has been caught up in a corruption scandal, opening the way for maverick centrist Emmanuel Macron, who would face off with Le Pen. Le Pen has been a leader in the early polls, which put her placing at the top of the April 23rd first-round vote, but not winning the May 7th runoff. If elected, she envisions a government of national unity formed after June legislative elections. Le Pen told the crowd at the Congress Center in the southeastern city of Lyon that globalization is erasing France and Islamic fundamentalism is planting itself in some neighborhoods and vulnerable minds. Le Pen listed Muslim veils, mosques, or prayer in the street of France as unacceptable cultural dangers that no French person attached to his dignity can accept. When you arrive in a country, you don't start violating laws demanding rights, she said, in reference to what she calls massive immigration. There will be no other laws and values in France but French. Among her 144 commitments is to limit immigration to 10,000 and restrain family reunification policies that have allowed many immigrants, mainly from former French colonies in North Africa, to bring in relatives. She said she would arrange for foreigners convicted of crimes to serve their prison terms in their homelands. Britain's vote to leave the EU and the election of U.S. President Donald Trump have boosted Le Pen followers, with many applauding in private Trump's election. She said this revealed the awakening of the people against oligarchies. She praised Trump as a man who respects campaign promises and acts quickly. Le Pen's top lieutenant said earlier Sunday that Brexit and the Trump election have given the French a reason to vote because it results in real change. Florian Philippot said people who thought voting served nothing now have proof that an alternative is possible. He claimed the National Front membership rose after Brexit and again after the Trump victory, but gave no figures. Philippot conceded Sunday that Le Pen's program would mean a slight increase in the nation's debt in the first year if she is elected in the two-round presidential election. Le Pen's plan calls for 15,000 police, 6,000 customs officers to guard borders, and more hospital workers. And of course, we know that Marine Le Pen is the Donald Trump of France, and she is our lady, she is our girl in France. We hope that all those in France are praying for her. All those worldwide also are praying for France and the freedom of France from the EU and the totalitarian oligarchs, being free from the centralist bankers and the globalist crime cartel, and be able to determine and strengthen their nation's economy again and their sovereignty, as well as controlling their borders and determining for themselves the future of France's destiny. We'll be right back after this short break.
your sound and heat. Jesus' name, globally, as the waters cover the sea, open the heavens, oh Lord. Pour out your spirit, cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with the sound of heaven. All of the earth is yours. All of the nations adore you. Cover the earth with the sound of heaven. Cover the earth. Start rocking low.
We are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Monday, February 6, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, broadcasting live from the Cheongguk Palace. Now let's move to some video reports from InfoWars and Miley Weaver, one of the female reporters. Let's move to this video.
The events that have just happened at UC Berkeley should be a wake-up call to every freedom-loving American of every race, color, and creed. If you thought the left was just going to stop after President Donald Trump was inaugurated, well, you can see from this clip that you are sadly mistaken. If you wear a MAGA hat, you are now a target. If you wear a Trump t-shirt, you are now a target. And if you are a woman, you are a specific target. We now live in a world where going to a college speaking event, not even a political rally, is enough to get you physically attacked and menaced by those who disagree with you. I've experienced this intimidation myself while attending a pro-abortion, nasty women's march in D.C.
So these women's rights protesters are completely trampling all over somebody's garden. Excuse me, I'm a woman here, and do I have a right to work? Are you against my right? Yeah, are you against my right to report as a reporter? So why are you getting in front of my shot right now?
Because you're broadcasting terrorism to the people. You're terrorizing millions of people. You're supporting
No,
Franco
we're not. We're
and
just
Hitler
showing the truth.
and
We're showing the
Mussolini.
truth out. We're not supporting Hitler. Are you kidding me?
This intimidation did not work on me, but these unprovoked attacks on defenseless women are despicable. What kind of coward attacks a defenseless woman? And they like to call Trump supporters fascists and Nazis, but these people are the embodiment of Hitler's brown shirts that he unleashed on his political enemies. Let's go ahead and look at the definition of terrorist. It is a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. These cowards are terrorists and should be treated as such. They're trying to start a civil war because they're mad that their demented version of socialism failed in the voting booth. And I bet most of them didn't even turn out to vote. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stay silent and hidden and be afraid? Or are you going to stand up for freedom and free speech? Because make no mistake, what we have witnessed is a shot across the bow. And the Antifa have raised their skull and crossbones flag. No quarter will be given, and it will only be a matter of time before somebody will be killed by these animals. And when, not if, someone is killed, the Twitter left will praise the death of a Nazi, Do you really think the American people are that dumb? Do you really think we're just going to stand by while these ninja bullies kill someone for wearing a hat or a shirt? President Trump has responded to this attack on the First Amendment by threatening to pull federal funds to UC Berkeley, and I applaud him for that. But it was the mayor of Berkeley that told the left to rise up, and it's pretty clear that it was the chief of police that ordered his officers to stand down. They should be charged for this, and we should take to the streets and demand that this happen, because if we don't stand up for our freedom of speech, then we will lose it forever. At the next event, be prepared to be attacked. Be prepared to defend yourself. Be prepared to be spit on, hit with sticks, and maced in the face. Be prepared to defend your life against the anti-tolerant left, the alt-left, because they have a taste for blood, and they are not going to stop until they destroy this country with their retarded, politically correct ideology. Don't attack first, but if it's a fight they want, then let's give it to them. But we can stop them without violence. We can stop them with superior numbers. So turn off the TV, kiss your kids, and get out on the streets and defend freedom, because they will not attack if they are outnumbered. Cowards only attack if they have the superior numbers. So it's time for you to choose a side. Are you going to stand by idly? Are you going to get out on the battlefield with me in the info war? I'm Millie Weaver, and I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Very powerful, very powerful video broadcast. Also, Millie Weaver also has a shorter video on Antifa's reign of terror now targeting women and children. Let's go to that real quick.
4 people were arrested outside of a Gavin McInnes event at New York University when Antifa protesters became violent. Well, as Gavin and his entourage were making their way into the venue, these protesters mobbed them and cornered them, shouted fascist Nazis. Next thing you know, fists were in the air and a full-on brawl broke out. 4 arrests were made as a consequence to this brawl. But they also stole a Make America Great Again hat, set it on fire, and stomped it in the street. They were sending a message that they are going to continue these terrorist-like acts. In another incident that happened at this same event, a Trump supporter was splashed in the face while he was conducting an interview. He was being interviewed, and the interviewer was asking some pretty pointed questions, and they just splashed him in the face with water. Now, the police did instantly make an arrest on the scene, but it just goes to show these people are not going to stop. And not only are they attacking people out in the streets, adults, they are attacking children on Twitter. A female reporter named Cassandra Fairbanks and her young daughter were attacked on Twitter by these vile terrorists, the Antifa. Some of us know you very personally, Cass, and know just how afraid you can really get. Be careful, doll, for your daughter's sake. Woman's a fraud, and that becomes more deafening by the day. Only hope her daughter is hit by a car to save her wholeheartedly. In front of you, preferably. You are so deeply full of shit that your daughter would be ruined. This is the kind of disgusting terrorism that we are seeing come out of the left and their groups that they refuse to denounce. They refuse to denounce them. I mean, give me a break. If this were happening on the right would, as a majority, say, this is not what we stand for. We do not condone this. We disavow this type of behavior, and we are not seeing that from the left. They need to disavow this behavior because this is really disturbing. Attacking and threatening people's children, this is when it's gotten way too far and way out of hand. This is Millie Weaver, signing off for Infowars.com.
Very good, very good reports by a young female reporter there at InfoWars, revealing the reality of these fascists, these Nazis. They're the real Nazis. They're the ones that are actually funded by the Nazi George Soros. And they're calling anybody who is standing up for freedom because they have failed policy and failed socialism and failed commies. And now they're butthurt and want to attack people, even threatening women and their children. Threatening children. This is how pathetic these idiots are. Wearing their little masks, cowardly, hiding behind their masks. Now let's move to an article that was linked by Breitbart, by Quartz, explaining who Steve Bannon is. What does Donald Trump want for America? Supporters don't know. His party doesn't know, and even he doesn't know. If there is a political vision underlying Trumpism, however, the person to ask is not Trump. It's his Ivanos Gree, Stephen K. Bannon, the chief strategist of the Trump administration. Bannon transcended his working class Virginia roots with a stint in the Navy and a degree from Harvard Business School, followed by a career as a Goldman Sachs financier. He moved to LA to invest in media and entertainment for Goldman, then started his own investment banking specializing in media. The combination of luck, a fallen through deal left him with a stake in a hit show called Seinfeld, and a knack for voicing outrage. Bannon remade himself as a minor luminary with a far edge of right-wing politics, writing and directing a slew of increasingly conservative documentaries. Bannon's influence reached a new high in 2012 when he took over Breitbart News, an online news website, following the death of creator Andrew Breitbart. The murder, of Andrew Breitbart. While at Breitbart, Bannon ran a popular talk radio call-in show and launched a flame-throwing assault on mainstream Republicans, embracing instead a fringe cast of ultra-conservative figures. Among them was Trump, a frequent guest on the show. They established a relationship that eventually led Bannon to mastermind Trump's populist romp to the White House, culminating in his taking the administration's most senior position. The three tenets of Bannonism. Bannon's political philosophy boils down to three things that a Western country and America in particular needs to be successful. Number one, capitalism. Number two, nationalism. And number three, Judeo-Christian values. These are all deeply related and essential. America, says Bannon, is suffering a crisis of capitalism. He used the word a crisis a lot more on that later. Capitalism used to be all about moderation, an entrepreneurial American spirit, and respect for one's fellow Christian man. In fact, in remarks delivered to the Vatican in 2014, Bannon said that his enlightened capitalism was the underlying principle that allowed the U.S. to escape the barbarism of the 20th century. Since this enlightened era, things have gradually gotten worse, hence the crisis. The downward trend began with the 1960s and 70s counterculture. The baby boomers are the most spoiled, most self-centered, most narcissistic generation the country's ever produced, says Bannon in a 2011 interview. He takes on this issue in more detail in Generation Zero, a 2010 documentary he wrote and directed. The film shows one interviewee after another laying out how capitalist system was slowly undermining and destroyed by a generation of wealthy young kids who had their material needs taken care of by hardworking parents, whose values were shaped by the hardship of the Great Depression and World War II, only to cast off the American values that had created that wealth in the first place. This shift gave rise to socialist policies that encouraged dependency on the government, weakening capitalism. Eventually, the socialist vision succeeded in infiltrating the very highest levels of institutional power in America. By the late 1990s, the left had taken over many of the institutions of power, meaning government, media, and academy. Says Peter Schweitzer, a writer affiliated with Bannon's Government Accountability Institute, a conservative think tank in Generation Zero. And it was from these places and positions of power that they were able to disrupt the system and implement a strategy that was designed to ultimately undermine the capitalist system. And he says, undermine the capitalist system. The film zooms in on the word Lucifer in that now infamous epigraph from Saul Alinsky. Underlying all of this is the philosophy of Edmund Burke, an influential 18th century Irish political thinker whom Bannon occasionally references. In Reflections on Revolution in France, Burke presents his view that the basis of a successful society should not be abstract notions like human rights, social justice, or equality. Rather, societies work best when traditions that have been shown to work are passed from generation to generation. The baby boomers, Bannon says in a lecture given to the Liberty Restoration Foundation, failed to live up to the Burkean responsibility by abandoning the tried and true values of their parents: nationalism, modesty, patriarchy, religion, in favor of new abstractions: pluralism, sexuality, egalitarianism, secularism. For both Burke and Bannon, failure to pass the torch results in social chaos. Once in power, the liberal, secular, global-minded elite overhauled the institutions of democracy and capitalism to tighten its grip on power and the ability to enrich itself. The Party of Davos, as Bannon long ago dubbed this clique, has warped capitalism's institutions, depriving middle classes everywhere of the wealth they deserve. This pattern of exploitation came to a head in 2008 global financial and economic crisis. Wall Street, enabled by fellow global elites in government, spun profits out of speculation instead of investing their wealth in domestic jobs and businesses. When the resulting bubble finally burst, the immoral government stuck hard-working American taxpayers with the bailout bill. This is the kind of thing that led Bannon to say in 2011 LRF lecture that there is socialism for the very wealthy. The rest of the country, he says, is common sense, practical, middle-class people. There is also socialism for the very poor, he adds. We've built a welfare state that is completely and totally unsupportable, and now this is a crisis. Bannon wants all of this liberal-sponsored socialism to end. He celebrates CNBC host Rick Santelli's famous 2009 tirade about those who carry the water and those who drink the water, which sparks what became the Tea Party, a populist movement focused on tax cuts, fiscal scrimping, and a narrow interpretation of constitutional rights. Channeling the spirit of the Tea Party, Bannon blames Republicans as much as Democrats for taking part in cronyism and corruption at the expense of middle-class families. We don't really believe there is a functional conservative party in this country, and we certainly don't think the Republican Party is that, says Bannon in 2013 panel, in which he discussed Breitbart's vision. We tend to look at this imperial city of Washington, this boom town, as they have two groups or two parties that represent the insider's commercial party, and that is a collection of insider deals, insider transactions, and a budding aristocracy that has made this the wealthiest city in the country. In short, in Bannonism, the crisis of capitalism has led to socialism and suffering of the middle class, and has made it impossible for the current generation to bequeath a better future to its successors to fulfill its Burkean duty. Judeo-Christian values. So what exactly are these traditions that America are meant to pass along to future generation? In addition to crisis of capitalism, one of the Bannon's favorite themes is Judeo-Christian values. This is the second element of his theory of America. Generation Zero Bannon 2010 documentary has a lot to say about American values, and a lot of this matches closely the ideals of the Tea Party. But since 2013-14, Bannon's casual emphasis on American values has swelled into include a strong religious component. The successful functioning of America and Western civilization in general depends on capitalism, and capitalists depend on presence of Judeo-Christian values. For Bannon, capitalism was not only responsible for bringing the U.S. out of the war successfully, it also brought the restoration of Europe and the Pax Americana that followed, he explains in his 2014 speech in the Vatican Conference. But capitalism alone is not enough. Unmoored from a Judeo-Christian moral framework, capitalism can be a force of harm and injustice, exemplified by the U.S.'s economic decline. To restore the health of America's economy and patch its shredded social fabric, Bannon wants capitalism to be re-anchored by the Judeo-Christian values he believed made the country great through its history. This shared morality ensures that businesses invest not just for their own benefit, but also for the good of native workers and future generations. As in Burke's view, human rights and civil society do not come from anything abstract, but from tradition. For Bannon, this tradition is God. Nation states that establish people as the arbiters of truth and justice will ultimately give way to tyranny. Wow. The ultimate check on the power of the state is God's teaching, says Duck Dynasty's Phil Robertson in Torchbearer, the 2016 documentary that Bannon co-wrote, directed, and produced. The film is full of Robertson offering similar aphorisms about how society falls apart without a religious foundation. It's important to note that Judeo-Christian values does not necessarily seem to require that all citizens believe in Christianity. Bannon doesn't appear to want to undo separation of church and state or freedom of religion enshrined in America's Constitution. After all, both of these are traditions that have led America to success in the past. What he believes is that the Founding Fathers built the nation based on a set of values that come from Judeo-Christian values. In order to make sure the whole country is on board with these values, it must limit or halt the influx of people who do not share them by rallying around nationalism. And it is through this final ingredient, the primacy of the nation-state values and traditions, that American can drive a stake through the heart of the global secular establishment. Then he goes on to another section on nationalism, but what an incredible breakdown. Number one, of how these lazy, spoiled brat children grew up with tremendous wealth because of the hard work of their parents, and then never learned the values that created that kind of wealth and become little socialists, little idiotic slobs who get trained under Marxist professors and become totally brain dead and become little socialist, greedy, selfish, narcissistic little pimps. And then they take over the academia, take over education, take over media, take over the federal archangel and its powerful force, and use force to put guns to people's heads, literally, because they send police officers if you don't comply with them, and create all these new regulations, all these new laws that suffocate freedom and liberty. In that scenario, then, who suffers? It's the middle class. The middle class person suffers because it's socialism for the masses. I'm sorry, socialism for the elite. Marx said religion is the opiate of the masses. Socialism is the opiate of the intellectuals. It's the drug of the intellectuals. They want to believe that there's some kind of special gifted class, that if they decide, if they regulate everything in the country and everything in the world, everything will be fine and they'll create some kind of socialist utopia. It is the ultimatum of this narcissistic, arrogant, Pharisaic, demonic possession that they believe they can mandate and regulate you better than you. They can tell you how to spend your money that you made better than you. They can spend your money for you better than you can spend it. They can spend your money that you made for your family better than your family can spend it. They'll make better decisions for you than you'll make for yourself. See, this is the total lunacy of the goddess cult, socialism, feminist doctrine that tries to promote the womb theology over all people and tries to keep them locked up in a womb and not allow them to be released so they can be free and sovereign and successful and create innovation and wealth. Excellent breakdown by this article. Of course, Judeo-Christian values being the fundamental moral fabric, the morality which governs interaction, the morality which governs how we treat each other, the morality of not only creating tremendous wealth, but also investing it back into our community, investing it for our future. These moral principles that cannot be found in atheistic values, because atheist values is just survival of the fittest. You can just live by yourself, for yourself. But in Judeo-Christian values, we have responsibility for the faithful. We have the responsibility for the poor. We have responsibility to help those in need. And we have responsibility to bring them to Christ, to their true identity, which is powerful, which is not under the archangel, which is a true identity, which is free and sovereign and powerful, and help raise people up so they too can be those who stand in the image of God. We'll be right back after this short break.
Open up the heavens. Come on. Open up the
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report as we dancing to the gospel songs today. Getting back to the top news on Breitbart with your host, Cheongjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. The Patriots win in an amazing comeback, the greatest of all time, says Breitbart. New England 34, Atlanta 28. Top news on Drudge and on Breitbart. Let's look at Drudge here. Top news here. The greatest there. Is that Tom Brady?
Yes.
Celebrating his amazing comeback win. New England scores final 31 points in shocking win Unprecedented fifth Super Bowl for Brady Belichick. First overtime in Super Bowl history, Brady wins fourth Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl is great. Football is awesome. It's a great sport. I played football. All my boys play football. It is a great sport to unlock young men's epigenetics, to get hit for the first time. You know, I remember when I was playing football, I got hit one time and all my, the wind got knocked out of me. And you just feel, wow, you feel what it means to get hit. If you just play tennis, or you just play golf, or you just play squash, you ain't never gonna feel a hit, okay? And that's why for a young man, it is important to have these sports that make you manly and get you around different alpha males. Because that exposure to alpha males and not demonizing, which the archangelic culture always tries to do, helps you understand this alpha culture. Okay, it doesn't mean you become a caveman, but you learn that there is a part there that you too can develop alpha qualities. You know, you may go and play football or doing wrestling and think you're like weak, wimpy, and totally weak. Just like all my kids there, they were just Asian nerd bags playing video games all day, and they were so scared to play these harder sports, these masculine sports. But after they went in them, and they started training, they got stronger. And then even the kids on their wrestling team started respecting them or including them into their group. And so now my kids used to be bullied at school and used to be called gay and all that stuff because they didn't date. Now all of a sudden they have a whole group of strong boys that are now their group. And they're part of that in-group and they stand up for each other. And now they themselves are stronger. You see, and they thought they were weak. They thought they were sucky. And yes, it was scary for them to break that boundary and go into them. And without their daddy, they would never have done it. And they will admit that to you if you ask them. But because their daddy knows them and loves them and wants them to unlock them, and I did all that too, and see the value of that, after they did that, they've become totally different. Okay? They've become totally different young men. And for that, sports is very good. Sports allows young men, and women to experience a higher level of strength that they never experienced. There was a young lady on the wrestling team when I saw my boys wrestling. Young girl, there's only one girl on the wrestling team. But she was fighting it out. She was really, I guess she's going to go into, maybe practice jiu-jitsu or she's going to MMA, something like that. But she is definitely an outlier. Girls themselves never do these combat sports either, which is the reason why most girls are so weak mentally and physically. And then just like beta males, they try to pretend that they're tough by trying to lift weights or do some kind of fitness thing. So, oh yeah, I got six-pack abs. No. You get stronger when you do real sports which challenge you and totally make you break through your weaknesses. And there's nothing like fighting that allows you to do that. Nothing like having somebody killing you and trying to oppress you, trying to dominate you, and you having to fight back against this literal entity that is trying to control and dominate you. There's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. Little tennis and ding, 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 little squash, will never do it. It will never do it. You don't unlock any epigenetics that are real with those kind of sports. Fine, it's better than nothing. Okay, yes, it's better than absolutely nothing. And it builds a competitive nature, fine. Okay, but you won't unlock the powerful epigenetics. The epigenetics which got the species to where it is now. The epigenetics that allow our ancestors to kill lions and tigers and bears and literally fight them with their own hands. The epigenetics that allow you to push and press through your fear, even start embracing your fear and understanding what that's all about. So for those perspectives, football is a great thing. But the problem with the Super Bowl and the problem with all this hype and the entertainment industry that builds itself around these sports is that we lose the sense of all this, the epigenetic unlocking potential of these sports. And it becomes hyped out political events. It was almost in the Super Bowl overtime or in the halftime, Lady Gaga, there was news that she was going to come out and do some kind of satanic ritual. But here on Breitbart, it says, shock, Lady Gaga shuts up and just sings in their common occult fashion and their common occult thematics. But the Super Bowl becomes a distraction. And then at the same time, the football, the NFL, becomes a supporter of federal government and starts working with the federal government under the Obama administration, using its platform of entertainment to then press and indoctrinate its agenda, not its agenda, but the federal government's agenda, the archangelic agenda, that we must submit to the federal government. The federal government loves us, and Obama loves us, and the politicians loves us, and they're not a special aristocracy, and they're not a special class. No. They're out there fighting for the middle class man, even though they make the middle class man poor. And oh no, they don't want to. They love your children, even though they want to take your children away. Oh no, they don't. They want to help them to be free thinkers, even though they indoctrinate them in public schools. And then the NFL becomes a platform to promote archangelic satanic political Satanism. And that is the danger of the sports media. Okay, there are the actual sports, and there is the sports promotion, there is the sports media and the sports entertainment industry. And that has to be understood, because within that industry there are those who seek to promote the rise and power of socialism, communism, political Satanism, etc. We have to understand, for new listeners, we have to realize why we call it political Satanism, because all the goals and end goals of communism, socialism, whether it be the control of the monetary supply and control of money, whether it be control of education and indoctrination of children, whether it be the pro-abortion agenda and murdering of innocent children, whether it be the constant endless wars that happen under both the Republican and Democratic Socialist Party, whether it be the divide and conquer strategy, all those things, etc., 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 etc. You can find even more and more and more. The centralization of government, the centralization of creating environmental protection agencies which simply just tax people, tax the taxpayer even more, as well as creating a group of polluters that can pollute without any repercussions to themselves. It creates a second citizens class. So any of these principles that you see as the end goal of the left, and of course of the Republican establishment, we can see that it ends up in political Satanism, in the same satanic culture of murdering children, of centralizing governmental power, of federalizing everything, of having a police state and a military state, of having a surveillance state and monitoring everything. This is a total satanic grid. And Satan himself will use human beings and entities on this earth to manifest his kingdom, which he desires and reflects his own nature, which is what? Which is centralism. Which is what? Which is control freak. Which is what? Not believing in freedom. Which is what? Trying to usurp real power and innovation from people. Which is what? To reverse authority. Which is what? To multiply evil. Which is what? To murder children. All these things are the end goal product of particularly the left, and of course also the Republican establishment, which then becomes political Satanism. An actualization of Satanism manifests in political terms and in reality. Now we know that the kingdom of God will not only come by way of signs and symbols and of the in the spiritual world. Jesus himself said the kingdom of God will have to manifest itself on heaven. The Lord's Prayer that we pray every time after we train is, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The kingdom will come to earth. That means that it will have a political manifestation, that it will have a type of policy and political nature and ontology that will allow it to manifest Godism and God's nature on this earth instead of Satan's nature. And that is why the left is what it is, political Satanism, and why they use entertainment, just like the Romans used bread and circus, to entertain the public, only then to indoctrinate them with the agenda of political Satanism. We'll be right back after this short break.
At break of day, in to expand Jesus' name globally as the waters cover the sea. Open the heavens, oh Lord. Pour out your spirit, cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with the sound of heaven. All of the earth is yours. All of the earth is yours. All of
Back. Welcome back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. And now moving to Tim, the Agent Elder, for some very important news. Tim.
Okay, I wanted to start with the words from Chung Sung-kyung. I'm in Book 5 today, Chapter 3. These are words that were spoken in 1977 about the role of religion in society. This is a page, let's see what page this is, 622. You must be concerned about the spirit world. Today, there are many religions in the world, and their path is to search out the world where we can live eternally in relation to the spirit world, a world of eternal life, a world where we can live together with God. That world is the destination of religion. However, what has become of religion nowadays? It is on the decline, and we have entered an era in which people are concluding that religion is only for the weak and unnecessary for everyone else, or that it was created by people as a moral idea. I think this brings up a very important point that many people say that religion has no place in society, and that religion needs to be put in a closet where it cannot be seen, and that people who want to practice religion have to go into that closet and just to practice it in their churches or in their temples or in their shrines, and not bother the rest of society. But as the king just mentioned in his article about Steve Bannon's philosophy, Steve Bannon believes, and obviously our true father, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, believes that Judeo-Christianity has to form the underpinning of society. That without Judeo-Christianity, the American society cannot continue to exist. The progressives and the left disagree with that. They want to get rid of religion, or they want to substitute their own religion, which is a kind of a state religion, where government takes the position of God, and where their ideology takes the position of Christian theology. And that is why actually there is this great fight today, this great virtual civil war, not being fought by guns yet, but certainly being fought on the streets of Berkeley and in the streets of other places, and in the media against this. Today, for example, there's going to be a vote in the Senate for the nomination of Betsy DeVos. And there's a lot of opposition to her. She has actually become the most controversial of President Trump's nominees for his cabinet. And right now, in the Senate, there are 52 Republican senators and 48 on the Democratic side. And so, if the Republicans were to hold together, her nomination would pass 52 to 48. But 2 Republicans have said that they're going to vote against her. So that makes the vote 50 to 50. So if it remains that way, and it appears that it will, then Vice President Mike Pence, as the president of the Senate, and according to the Constitution, will get a chance to cast a vote in her favor, we assume. So then it looks like she will be confirmed by that vote. And after her, Jeff Sessions will be confirmed as Attorney General, and that looks like it's going to happen.
Yes, yes.
But there is what they call a war on Betsy DeVos. And it has to do with her beliefs about education and about religion. The New York Times, for example, reported in opposition to Betsy DeVos that Betsy DeVos told a meeting of Christian philanthropists in 2001 that education reform was a way to advance God's kingdom. So New York Times says, whoa, no, we don't want this person. We don't want education reform. We don't want God's kingdom. And Fusion reported that secularists in the U.S. school system faced a fierce battle with Ms. DeVos at the helm as Secretary of Education. So in the New York Post, there's an editorial in support of Betsy DeVos yesterday, and I wanted to go through that a bit. Getting past all the noise, the opposition to Betsy DeVos, President Trump's pick for the Education Department, is all about the teachers' unions, which consider it their right to have a friendly face running federal policy even in Republican administrations. Yes, 2 Senate Republicans have come out against DeVos, the only 2 who routinely get A's on the National Education Association's report card because they vote the union line. Efforts to find another GOP vote against her will almost surely fail because the other 50 Republicans aren't in the union's pocket, and Vice President Mike Pence can deliver the 51st vote if needed, which probably looks like he will, unless a Democrat defects to the Republicans. We wish Davos were an existential threat to the unions, the New York Post says, but the feds don't really run U.S. schools. That's a state and local power. And the unions are too entrenched in those corridors of power, especially in states like New York. At best, she'll manage to reduce the sway of the NEA and the American Federation of Teachers by giving more power to the nation's parents and to school innovators who refuse to toe the union line. Really, as the King has emphasized again and again, education in America today, public education, is a way for children to be indoctrinated in the state religion about how we must trust the government and that we don't want to go to God, we want to go to the government. The government is our Messiah. The government is our Savior. The government giveth, the government taketh away. That is the religion that is being taught in American public schools today. But Davos is an ardent supporter of school choice, public charter schools, voucher programs to help families choose. Oh, that's a bad word for the progressives, isn't it? Choose qualified private or parochial schools when they think that's best for their kids, and so on. See, the government wants to educate the children. The government wants to control the children, not allow the parents to do that.
You mean you want to let the parents choose where they send their kids to school?
No, never.
How terrible, terrible!
Critics call this radical and pretend it could mean education Armageddon. In fact, school choice is...
Education Armageddon.
Yes, but it says that...
Those evil parents want to educate their children in different schools other than public schools. How terrible! How horrible! Go ahead.
But in Canada, you know how the left is always saying how everything is wonderful in Canada, how Canada is the kingdom of heaven? Well, in Canada, school choice is near universal, and the kids learn just fine. But choice does threaten union power. It's all about power and money, isn't it? Which rests on most families having no choice beyond the public schools, where unions can call the shots. By picking devils, Trump showed that he is eager to fight the power for the good of America's kids. That battle begins as soon as she's confirmed.
You know, Trump has to get rid of the Department of Education as a whole.
Yes.
But this is a great step in the right direction, that he's going and putting in somebody that will be pro-choice in terms of education, pro-education choice, in terms of parents being able to choose. And maybe he'll bring in the voucher program, you know, who knows. But it is an excellent step in the right direction. Go ahead, Tim.
As long as we're on the idea of President Trump and power of states and so forth, I wanted to go through one aspect of President Trump's interview with Bill O'Reilly yesterday, just before the Super Bowl, where he said that he's threatening to withhold federal funds from out-of-control California if the state declares itself a sanctuary state. He's saying that he was responding to a question from Bill O'Reilly about efforts by Democratic state legislatures to make California a de facto sanctuary state that would restrict state and local law enforcement, including school police and security departments, from using their resources to aid federal authorities in immigration enforcement. And the interesting thing here is that the mayor of Los Angeles, where was this, says that, he says here, Mayor Eric Garcetti said he doubted the 10th Amendment to the Constitution would allow Trump to defund California. It's very, very comical and ridiculous and ironic to hear the left citing the 10th Amendment. 10th Amendment is the part of the Bill of Rights which says that any power that is not specifically given to Congress, to the federal government, to the federal Congress in the Constitution, belongs to the states and the people. And before the Civil War, it was this 10th Amendment that was used by states to say that we have the right to secede. After the Civil War, the federal government says, I don't think so. And they basically, over the past 150 years, have almost completely destroyed the 10th Amendment. Now suddenly, the left and the progressives and the establishment people discover that there's a 10th Amendment. And it would be so ironic, it would be so wonderful if the Trump presidency convinces the left that the 10th Amendment should be revived and that the states should actually have power. Wow, that would be a revolution. That would be a revolution, because today the 10th Amendment is pretty much a dead letter.
Well, they suddenly believe in all the Bill of Rights, don't they?
Yes, suddenly, they read the Constitution suddenly, and they discover that there is this 10th Amendment. Wow. That is so funny. That is so funny. That the left now believes in the 10th Amendment, and that they're going to use it to resist against Trump. Go for it, people. Go for it. Yeah. Let's have the 10th Amendment back alive again. That would be
What?
wonderful.
We have a Bill of Rights, the Constitution? Hey, that's a pretty good document. Since we read it for the first time now, these leftists are so insane. On another note, fake news onslaught depicts Social Security ban repeal as arming dangerous citizens. Last week's House vote to repeal Barack Obama's Social Security gun ban sparked a fake news onslaught as media tried to depict the repeal as something that armed dangerous citizens. For example, Politico reported the repeal of the gun ban as a repeal of the background check rule, which is ridiculous. That's fake news. Bloomberg reported that it would allow guns for the mentally incompetent. Again, fake news. MSNBC reported that the vote to repeal Social Security expanded gun access for mentally impaired. Fake news. And USA Today claimed it was an effort to strike a rule banning guns for some deemed mentally impaired. Fake news. The USA Today claims it's especially egregious because it makes it sound like those who would lose their rights are already known. But the appeal is not static. It can grow year by year as the Social Security Administration investigations into beneficiaries continue. This means the people who would lose their Second Amendment rights may not even be on the Social Security Administration's radar at the time. Moreover, there are questions as to whether those added to the list would have their due process rights violated in the process. The questions about due process lead to concerns that an 85-year-old woman who suddenly loses her husband of 60 years may be adjudicated mentally deficient if she requires help with her finances while going through the emotional shock of adjusting to life alone. Yet NPR reported that a vote to repeal the gun ban was a vote to, quote, overturn Obama's rule restricting gun sales to the severely mentally ill. As if Obama is trying to protect everyone from the severely mentally ill. And Representative Elizabeth Etsy, Democrat of Connecticut, said the repeal was, quote, about weakening our firearms background check system, plain and simple. The only thing plain and simple about all these claims is that they are fake news, plain and simple. Again, the fake news trying to say that banning people on the Social Security gun ban will be banning, quote, the mentally impaired, when it really goes after expanding the gun prohibition on people without due process. People who are totally capable, willing to drive a car, which is much more dangerous than a gun, totally capable of dealing with the realities of normal existence. And yet the left, again, is reporting fake news to cover up the fact that they want to disarm more people and not let elderly people who are totally mentally capable of operating perfectly in a perfect fashion, in a normal fashion, are not given due process and have their rights stolen, taken away from them from the federal overreach that the left and their fake news apparatus is drooling and wishing they had once again, like they had under Barack, the good old days under Barack. Now Trump is in, and oh no, less power, no, less. Now we can't surveil, we can't concentrate power, no, we can't just ban people's rights and ban due process and ban guns from everybody. We can't just do whatever the heck we want. Terrible day, terrible day. They're starting to read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights again. These stupid leftist communists. We'll be right back after this short break.
Oh, we invite the presence of the Lord in this place tonight. Hey! to extend Jesus' name globally as the waters cover the sea. Open the heavens, oh Lord. Pour out your spirit, cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with your glory. Cover the earth with the sound of heaven. All of the earth is yours. All of the earth is yours. All of the nations adore you. Cover the earth with the sound of heaven. Cover the earth. Start rocking, Lord. Open up the heavens. Come on. Open up the heavens. Let a new sound be released. As the waters cover the sea, cover the earth.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report on this exciting Monday, February 6, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheonilguk, broadcasting live from the Cheonilguk Palace. And we move now to President Trump's travel ban was temporarily blocked. Here's what happens next, the Washington Post. And a short video. Let's go to the video.
A ban on Syrian refugees has been controversial from the minute that he issued it. There are 17 lawsuits filed all across the country about this. Most of the judges who have looked at this have sided with the challengers and put temporary stops on the plan. But the judge in Seattle, Judge Robart, he said that there should be a nationwide stoppage, that this kind of policy, an immigration policy like this, can't be implemented in just one part of the country and not the other. And so he has stopped the whole thing.
We must intervene to fulfill the judiciary's constitutional role in our tripart government.
The administration will now take it to a 3-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit.
There they go again, the WAPO, trying to pretend as if Trump did something unconstitutional and or illegal. We covered this story a couple of days ago on the legality of the executive order of the ban that is simply reinstating what Obama banned in 2012, I believe it was, of the 7 serious cities, including Syria, Iran, Iraq, etc., Libya, and those Somalia, etc., and other countries that we are actually at war with and or have imploded civil war breakdown societies with heavy Islamic terrorism, which then people from those areas could come and just unvetted, totally free, from Somalia, which has literally, I don't think it has even an airport, it has a military airport. It's so broken down, it's so devastated in terms of civil war and infighting and runaway government, runaway chaos there, anarchy, and of course a hotbed of Islamic terrorism. And then there's a kind of a reason why we don't want them pouring into the country in the millions. There's kind of a reason why we don't want Islamic radicals who are fighting for ISIS in Syria to be pouring into our country. Because that would be like allowing Nazis to pour into our country when we are at war with Germany. You don't do that when you are at war with another country. You don't let them pour in. And we covered the articles the other day. About 87% of the rest of the Muslim world is fine to come in. Indonesia, India, Pakistan, etc. All those countries are not on the list. It is the list that are the hotbeds that are actually also were defined by the Obama administration. It's not like Trump pulled these out of a hat. They were defined by Obama. So Trump is this master card player, and he ends up trumping them because he put out this list. The left went all nuts and bozo and peanut crazy, doing all this lunacy at the airports, doing all all these demonstrations and ranting and raving and burning down UCal Berkeley and all this insanity. And then lo and behold, who made that list, lefties? Who made that list, you dummies? Who made that list, you brain-dead ignoramuses? It was your Lord and Savior, Obama. Obama is the one who made that list, you dumb brain-dead cultist. You little cult-worshipping, state-worshipping little state replaces God. I saw one thing. It said, hey guys, pull up, in Gov we trust. In Gov we trust. Instead of in God we trust, the left is in Gov we trust. This is the lunacy of the left, but it is the showing that Trump plays his hand. He set them up to totally fall into a trap. He set them up by reinstating Obama's travel ban. And by reinstating Obama's travel ban, he got them to go right into the trap and say, Trump is racist! Ah! Oh crap! Who made that? Who made that original law defining those 7 cities? It was Obama. Really? Trump is racist! That's all they got. That's all they got. That's all they got. All they got is name calling because they're lunatics. They're cultists. They're in a dangerous cult of the state. You guys got that picture on In Gov We Trust? Go ahead, put that picture of In Gov We Trust. Get an image of In Gov We Trust. And this has become the religion of the left. They've replaced Judeo-Christian values with this lathering, lavishing, drooling, salivating, lustful love for centralized archangelic power, because this actual God that they created, known as the state, can give them real freebies, can force people by the use of force to coerce people to give them their resources. It's a God that they believe is better than real God, because the real God has morality and justice and doesn't just rape and steal from people. The left's God of the state can rape and murder and steal and assassinate and do all manner of evil in order that those adherents to the God of the state will be rewarded with material blessings and resources. And this has really become, is that it? Is that In Gov We Trust? Okay, I don't know if that's it. There's actually, here we go. There it is. Oh, In Gov We Trust. There it is. They're the insane old lefties. In Gov We Trust. And so we see the reality of the left, and their degenerate, they're deplorable, they're trashy, they're slutty, they're adulterous, they're fornicating with the despicable, syphilis-infested, rat mold, pus-filled, open sore, fluid spilling God of the state. And they lick it up and lather it up. So tasty. Look at what the state gives me. So tasty. Let me lick those lathering, pus-filled wounds that this state demon gives me. This is the insanity of the left. And again, the WAPO, in its same propaganda fake news fashion, trying to pretend like all these stupid judges of the federal judge in Seattle, which is this liberal lefty commie, trying to say that, we're going to win against Trump. They're not going to win against Trump. Judge Jeanine Pirro, guys, you can find that, pull up Judge Jeanine Pirro's opening statement on Trump travel ban or something like that. She has an excellent breakdown. She also was a federal judge, has an excellent breakdown of why it's completely constitutional and why this federal judge would completely lose in the courts. And if they bring it to the Supreme Court, they will absolutely lose, especially with Gorsuch being confirmed, I believe this or next week. So we have such an interesting development. We have to understand in terms of immigration, every nation state has the ability to say, we can decide who comes into our country and who does not. No supranational, transcendent, world governing bureaucracy that is composed of unelected officials and paid multiple loads of salaries. Those type of illegal bureaucracies cannot tell sovereign nation states whom they can admit and whom they don't admit into their country. That country itself can determine who is a national security risk to that country and who is able to come in and who is able to not come in. Now, if you want to come in to this country, there is a legal immigration processes. What they have enjoyed under Barack Obama and under the decrepit loser left is total open borders. They've enjoyed an implosion of society. Look at this top news on Breitbart right here. California State Senate leader, half my family is here illegally. This is what they're revealing. They themselves admit that half their family is here illegally. California State Senate President Pro Tem Kevin De Leon said half his family was in here illegally using false documents and eligible for deportation under President Executive Order. Yes, a country has the right to determine if you're here illegally, get out and come back legally. Everybody has to follow laws. In a nation, you can't have a nation without laws. There has to be a ground rule by which you play the game. If you play soccer, there are rules. You can't just start lifting up the ball and start throwing it like volleyball. You can't just, while you're playing soccer, everybody's playing under the rule that you can't touch the ball with your hands. You can't just start picking the ball up in your hands and start tossing it into the goalpost. You see, otherwise the game don't play. Otherwise there's no fair play. There are laws that you must abide by. And a country has the right, the sovereign right to say, nope, you can't come into our country. You can't come into my house. You get out of my house. They have the right to determine who and what is a national security threat to the country. America is now starting to get some backbone amidst all the leftist idiocracy and the lunatic left and the establishment right, and doing what they should be doing, which is strengthening, once again, our borders and our immigration policy. We'll be right back after this short break.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
we are back. Welcome back this Monday, February 6, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, and we are moving now to a powerful presentation and broadcast by Judge Janine Pirro, a true patriot and heroess of this great land. And let's move to her video clip now.
Breaking tonight, the Justice Department formally appeals the order by the Seattle judge stopping President Trump's travel ban after another day of protests throughout the country and the world. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Janine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. President Trump tonight at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. But those who disagree with the president are making their voices heard there and in several major cities around the country, most of them in defiance of the president's immigration policy. Part of that immigration policy, a travel ban affecting 7 countries, was halted by a federal judge in Seattle last night. But the Department of Justice late this evening formally appealed that ruling after the president himself called it ridiculous. Which brings me to my opening statement. Federal Judge James Robart has put a nationwide halt to President Trump's temporary 7-nation travel ban. This halt needs to be reversed. It will be reversed, and here's why. The president's executive action last week, halting travel for 90 days for nationals from 7 mostly Muslim countries, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, and Libya and Yemen, is eminently constitutional. And it will be upheld on both legal precedent and national security grounds. Now, I start with one fundamental premise. No one has the right to enter the United States unless he or she is a citizen of the United States. So, did the commander-in-chief have the authority to impose the 90-day ban? Every president has wide latitude to protect the homeland, and no one has the right to usurp that presidential authority. Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, codified under Title 8 of the United States Code, Chapter 12F says yes, and every president since Jimmy Carter, and yes, including Barack Obama, has used this statute to prohibit entry of certain individuals when entry would be contrary to your national interests. Some presidents used it to a greater extent than others, but nonetheless, the actions were legal. Every president has the inherent right in his foreign affairs power, the ability to exclude people who may cause harm to you. And if that power isn't enough for you, Congress added its own imprimatur, passing a bill signed into law that a president has in his foreign affairs power the ability to do just that. And that power has never, ever been successfully challenged. Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution gives the president the authority to protect the American people. Congress legislatively has given the president the authority to protect the American people from foreign nationals. So, this Judge Robart from Seattle issues an emergency temporary restraining order on the grounds that the plaintiffs, the states of Washington and Minnesota, would suffer irreparable harm and would most likely win their case. Yet there is no explanation what harm they will suffer or why they will win. On the other hand, a Boston federal judge who last week also issued an emergency stay on the same grounds of irreparable harm and the likelihood of success has declined to extend that order, saying that the president did have the authority to apply extra vetting measures to travelers coming into the country from those specific countries. Now, both of these federal judges had in front of them Lady Justice and their jobs to balance the scales. On the one hand, on the one scale, the interest of foreign nationals, plaintiffs, and on the other scale, the security of the American people. Now, although the Boston judge, after further review, did not extend the order, both of them judged that the plaintiff's emergency more immediate and weighty than the security of the American people. Now, this is a kind of action that puts our country into a constitutional crisis. For a judge to say that foreign nationals' rights take priority, even though the president has determined that reviews from before are now insufficient, when that judge has virtually none of the information that the commander-in-chief has, is somewhat radical. Not surprising, given that Judge Robart is known for his community activism and controversial statements like Black Lives Matter in his federal court in 2016. Point. Last weekend, everyone who arrived was ultimately let in. But was there chaos? Yes. But the only chaos was created by the protesters and certain members of Congress pimping for votes. And speaking of chaos, let's get a few things straight right now. You do not have the right to destroy property, public or private. You do not have the right to break windows, assault, hit, or spray mace in the face of another person. All of the above are crimes. The First Amendment does not give you the right to commit a crime. But if you do, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be assigned to you. And you tender snowflakes out there, so distressed, so depressed, so fearful of free speech that you must retreat to a safe zone with your crayons, must be schizophrenic, because now you're dressed like black ninjas looking to burn down buildings. You don't have the right to block traffic, to stop me from catching an airplane in case I want to visit my sick mother, or block him in case he's got to go for a job interview. Your rights are not superior to mine. You don't like the president? That's just too bad. Get out and vote next time. So the bottom line, every sovereign nation from the beginning of time, dating back to the Bible, has been able to determine who can and cannot enter their nation. Donald Trump has taken bold action, just like he said he would, shocking the world. Make no mistake, we do live in a dangerous world. There are legitimate national security concerns. And for some judge in Seattle to suggest that he is in a better position to evaluate the equities between some foreign nationals and the national security concerns that we have for the American people is not only egotistical, it's just plain wrong. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, hashtag Judge Janine.
Judge Janine, a tremendous lady. She should be on the Supreme Court. She should run for president. She is amazing, absolutely incredible. Making the very tremendous, absolutely constitutional point about the fact that nation states can decide whom they allow into their country or not. Look at this new CBS poll. 2/3 of Democrats say Islam and Christianity are equally violent. This is the lunacy they live in. They are devoid from reality. 2/3 of Democrats say Islam and Christianity are equally violent. 2/3. This is the type of fantasy cult they live in. Almost 7 out of 10 Democrats believe Islam encourages violence, about the same as other religions, according to this new CBS poll. The trusting attitude towards Islam is revealed in February's 2017 poll, follows 17 tumultuous years of attacks against Americans motivated or shaped by Islamic ideology. throughout the United States, from 9/11 to the Pulse nightclub attack in Florida committed by an observant Orthodox Muslim man. Merely 1 in 7 Democrats believe that Islam is more violent than other religions, such as Christianity, Mormonism, Judaism, and Buddhism. 1 in 10 Democrats believe that Islam is less violent than other religions, according to the poll of 1,019 adults, which was taken February 1 and 2. In contrast, Republicans have a far colder view of Islam. 63% of Republicans view Islam as aggressive compared to other religions, and only 2% view Islam as more pacific than other faiths. Still, 25% of Republican voters believe Islam's encouragement of violence is level with Christian doctrines, including the Beatitudes passage, reported by Matthew, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God." The Quran, in contrast, is deemed by Islam's adherents to be a direct transcript of Allah's many commands, including these belligerent commands. "I will cast terror into the heart of those who have disbelieved, so strike them over the necks and smite over all their fingers and toes. Fight in the way of Allah those who fight you but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like transgressors. So when you meet those who disbelieve in battle, strike their necks until when you have inflicted slaughter upon them, then secure their bonds and either confer favor afterwards or ransom them until the war lays down its burdens." Former President Barack Obama and other leaders in the Democratic Party have repeatedly suggested that Islam is not more violent than other religions. Obama told Muslims in February 2016 that Islam means peace, although it means submission. Similarly, a February 3rd letter signed by 3 senior Democratic legislators in the House argued that there are other 3 million Americans who practice Islam peacefully. The specter that there would be a federal program that, in name and action, singles out people of a particular faith warrants immediate critical consideration by the Department of Justice. Progressive left-wing activists say much violence is caused by Christians, although few make the argument that the violence is motivated by Christian doctrines. However, this will probably shock many, so you might want to take a breath. Overwhelmingly, those who have committed terrorist acts in the United States and Europe aren't Muslims, according to the Daily Beast column emphasizing the role of European nationalist groups in terrorism rates. Oh, so those people who committed all these crimes, including 9/11, screaming Allahu Akbar, apparently are not Muslim, Tim. The people who kill and murder people, shoot them randomly saying Allahu Akbar, I guess they're European nationalist groups. You see that? They're the white terrorists, they're the white nationalist Nazis that are screaming Allahu Akbar, apparently, according to the Daily Beast. This is the epitome of fake news, folks. When a person is screaming Allahu Akbar and blows himself up or shoots people up or blows up the World Trade buildings, there is a connection to the only religion on the planet who screams Allahu Akbar. And then, of course, the religion that we've covered many times, including professional apologist David Wood, that exposes Islam and its total opposite of how the apologists tried to describe it in the West. Conservatives claim that all terrorists are Muslim, but most violent acts in the U.S. are carried out by white men, claims a Salon article. Really? Really? Most violent attacks in the U.S. are carried out by white men, according to liberal leftist Insano Salon, who also has pro-pedophilia articles. Similarly, establishment media sites have played up the pro-Western, anti-Islam views of White House officials without even trying to address the truth or falsity of the views. In contrast, pro-Western critics of Islam routinely argue that Islam's mixture of religion and political ideology has a harmful impact on inherents and societies. Islam is not only a religion, it is a political movement. It has attached to it Sharia law. And so it's not only has a religious aim, it has a political aim. And that's why it allies with the leftist Anglo-Saxon banking cartel along with the Chinese Communist cartel. Because together with the Wahhabi centralized, Wahhabi-backed Orthodox Islamist caliphate desiring Wahhabis, they create the infrastructure and the pact of the triad of Satan to overtake all of the world and create global governance where they rule and reign over all humanity. We'll be right back after this short break. we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Monday, February 6, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, and we're talking about the CBS poll where Democrats see, 2/3 of Democrats see Christianity as equally as violent as Islam. Let's go to David Wood's posting on a similar topic about the purpose of debating Islam and jihad. Let's look at this video.
To post a video about Muslims claiming that the Quran can only be understood in Arabic whenever people criticize the Quran, but I decided to say a few words about the dhimmi of all dhimmis, a guy who's got the biggest man crush on Muhammad I've ever seen, a man who looks like Tarzan but whimpers like Jane, Dr. Craig Considine. Yesterday, I posted a video titled Trump versus Muhammad, where I discuss Craig's claim that Muhammad protected religious minorities with all his might. People started discussing the video on Twitter, and Jashu Ra asked Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch, "Any chance a debate with this Craig Considine can be arranged? Really? Anybody?" Act 17 pointed him out, his tweets appalling. So I replied, "Lol. Craig can take his pick. I'm ready, and I'm sure Robert is as well." Robert happily agreed, saying, "Oh yes, I'd enjoy that immensely. Anytime Craig is ready to debate, I will drop everything and make it happen." Notice, Robert said that he's ready to drop whatever he's doing to debate Craig Considine. Then I added, maybe Craig Considine can team up with his fellow sociologist Reza Aslan versus Robert Spencer and me. Now, how many of you out there would love to see a 2-on-2 debate with Craig Considine and Reza Aslan on one side of the stage versus Robert Spencer and me on the other side of the stage? Pretty much all of you, right? Regardless of which side you agree with. Unfortunately, only one side of this issue is willing to debate. Craig responded, "Islamophobes are upset that I won't debate them. Sorry, but it's impossible to even rationalize with people that have hate in their hearts." Funny that he chose the word rationalize. I think he meant that it's impossible to reason with us. But if he meant what he said, he's correct. He wouldn't be able to rationalize Muhammad's teachings and actions if we were on stage. So he pulled the hate card. We criticize Islam, so we must be filled with hate. It's not as if we criticize Muhammad's teachings because they call for the oppression of women and non-Muslims and the violent subjugation of the entire world. We must simply be filled with hate. And one day we said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, we're going to hate Islam. Of course, if criticizing Islam makes us hateful, check out Craig's Twitter page. He's constantly criticizing everyone he disagrees with. So he must be full of hate. As I conclusively proved in my last video, Craig is a racist. So why would Robert and I be willing to debate a known hate-filled racist when he says that he's not willing to debate people who have hate in their hearts? Apparently, Craig thinks that the goal of debate is convincing the opposing debater, and that's just nonsense. Opposing debaters are usually entrenched in their positions. The purpose of debate is to inform the audience. There are still plenty of people who aren't sure what to believe about Islam and jihad. A debate allows them to hear both sides. They get to hear opening presentations. Then they get to hear each side respond to the other side's presentation. Then they get to hear each side defend their claims against criticism. So audience members walk away informed. They understand why the debaters believe what they believe. Now, on the issue of jihad, why is one side of this discussion always willing to debate while the other side is constantly avoiding debate? Why does one side want people to hear an open, honest discussion while the other side only wants people to hear their view? Robert Spencer understands that when he debates, people are going to hear his opponents, but he wants that to happen. He wants them to hear both sides. When I debate, I understand that people are going to hear my opponents. I want them to hear my opponents so that they understand the reasons for and against the position. But Islamophiles like Craig Considine and Reza Aslan only want people to hear their side, and they're terrified of people hearing both sides at once. Why is that? Let me put it this way. If two groups disagree with one another on an extremely important issue that affects the entire world, and one of the groups is so confident that they always want people to hear both sides of the story, while the other group will do anything to keep people from hearing both sides of the story, Which group do you think probably has better evidence? And when a group just can't allow people to hear both sides presented, doesn't it seem that deep down they know their position can't stand up to scrutiny and that they're therefore being deceptive when they pretend that the evidence is on their side?
Family Federation.
Let me know what you think.
There's family fraud right there. You can see it with the totalitarian left. Wherever political Satanism is alive, you will see that tactic. Although that wasn't the video revealing the actual scriptures, etc. David Wood is talking about why it's important that to call these people out and to debate them, especially if you're a specialist in this field. David Wood, Robert Spencer, Sam Sahudi are experts in this apologetic field, and they destroy, absolutely demolish their Islamic opponents, not by mockery, not by anything else, but by rationale, by proof, by showing the hadith, by showing the Quran, by showing what it actually says and what Muslims actually believe or are supposed to believe. And if they don't believe, they're actually not Orthodox Muslims. They're more, quote, moderate and or secular Muslims. But the reality is that it is a radically different culture. Let's go back quickly to the final headlines on Drudge in this final segment. Of course, we have a Super Bowl article here. World leaders duped by manipulated global warming data. I heard about this on InfoWars the other day. Drudge Report is linking that article. Here we go. Nope, here we go. Okay. World leaders duped by manipulated global warming data. Bay Area conservatives keep meetups secret, fearing for their safety. Bills target demonstrators. Anti-Trump protesters block ambulance rushing to hospital. Those totalitarian little freak pimps. No more White House correspondent dinner. Syrian refugee sues Facebook over selfie viral. Pie slice, net rules next on chopping block. Heroin use surges amongst California millennials. Menace since turning 18 this year. Woman accused of committing felony a day. Political novice to become next head of Indian state. Merkel sinking. Praise God. Opponent's biggest rise in polling history. German mag defends cover showing Trump beheading Statue of Liberty. Immigration ban appears headed to Supreme Court. Washington state becomes epicenter of resistance. Senate Republican leader distances himself. Fiscal whole wheel test agenda. Showdown. Trump threatens to defund out of control California. Woo! Praise God. Praise God. California state Senate leader. Half my family here illegally. Mexico teeters between its recent U.S. friendship and 1 unnecessary years of hostility. Libel suit threatens catastrophe for the climate of public debate. Le Pen promises crackdown on immigration and globalization. France first. Campaign goes high-tech with hologram rally. Beckham blackmailed by hackers over personal emails. Taiwan bans euthanasia of stray animals. World's longest flight lands in New Zealand. Queen Elizabeth marks 65 years on British throne. And in the final segment, Brady leads New England to history, etc., etc. Kraft and crowd mercilessly stick it to Goodell. Obamacare plan could take until next year. WAPO lead Monday. Real risk and tension between U.S. and Iran. Pentagon, failed to disclose up to thousands of air strikes. Police escort Republican congressman after rowdy California town hall. Democrats spar over leadership. Sharp left turn ahead. Paper. Chelsea Clinton, last thing party needs. First, inside frat party where a 20-year-old found dead. Vomit in bathroom. Student passed out everywhere. La La Land tops Director Guild's report. Moving to Breitbart. Some of the trending news now. McConnell, no federal money for investigating voter fraud. CBS poll, etc., which we covered. Flashback, CNN's Don Lemon doesn't fact check. Eggs on Reich's lie that Breitbart organized left-wing violence. Conway, Dems have time to cry and weep at airports but not vote on Trump nominations. Berkeley Mayor Police Union blame university for not preparing for Milo riot. Black Lives Matter hopes to disrupt fans' arrival. Over 12,000 tweets call for Trump's assassination. Those people should all, it's illegal to do that. They should all be investigated. Fake news onslaught depicts social security gun ban. We covered that. Hate speech left gives platform to Reich's false claim about Berkeley riot, saying that the alt-right did it when they are the ones who are funded by George Soros. And InfoWars had an article on that, on the organizations that were sponsoring that event at Berkeley, or the riots at Berkeley. One of them, I believe, was resistfascism.org or something like that, which is also has been linked to George Soros and its funding from the Nazi banker. Arnold Schwarzenegger on Trump, I wanted to smash his face. Trump tells FNC's O'Reilly he has respect for Putin in pre-Super Bowl interview. Lady Gaga shuts up and sings. Expelled candidate for DNC chair suing Democrats for breach of First Amendment. Panetta says this liberal leftist little nutbag says Trump can't govern through executive order. Le Pen. BBC accused of spreading fake news with report on Trump Christian refugee policy. Man arrested for death of Queens jogger. Drone worth $1.5 million goes missing from Arizona Army base. 12-year-old attacked on bus for Make America Great or MAGA hat. This is literally the lunacy of what's happening. If you wear a MAGA hat just saying Make America Great Again, you have the potential to be assaulted. And this poor 12-year-old boy was attacked for wearing a hat. This is how tolerant the left is. This is how tolerant these liberals are. They're freaking lunatic cultists. Milwaukee Sheriff David Clark's star rises. He's an amazing African-American sheriff, true libertarian and true patriot of this country. Michigan leads effort to shift workers away from pension. Winning, California consumer confidence hits 9-year high. LA Times, there's the no free speech movement at Berkeley. Refuse fascism group behind, there it is. Berkeley riot received $50K from George Soros. There they are, paid provocateurs. Paid by George Soros. Pelosi calls for FBI investigation to find out what the Russians have on Donald Trump. WAPO's Ruth Marcus, Trump doesn't understand the role of America. You liberal, globalist, freak, cultist, authoritarians don't understand the role of America. You little godless, little prostitutes. Whistleblower, global warming data manipulated before a Paris conference. There are some of those liberal lunatics in France. Total supporters of taxing people for breathing and carbon taxing people. Totally in the cult of climate change. Painful political NFL season to end with Super Bowl. Fox promotes unity in Super Bowl ad. O'Reilly liberal sports media turned Trump-Brady friendship into controversy. Sad Feinstein. Trump splitting America apart with blizzard of executive orders. Bernie Sanders says Trump is a fraud, moving America towards authoritarianism. Mitch being helpful best not to single out judges. Dershowitz, Trump shows respect for independent judiciary. Hate speech, SNL audience cheers wildly after president called little white bitch. Again, supporting white racism. Hate speech, Top Chef host calls Milo neo-Nazi. Berkeley riot a victory, even though the real Nazis were funded by a real Nazi, George Soros, were burning down buildings. They're not the Nazis. It's Milo who talks about conservatism. SNL, Sean Spicer puts fake news, CNN in cage. Oh, this was interesting. Disgruntled Romans launch protest against Pope Francis. A very interesting article. Romans woke up Saturday to find their city plastered with hundreds of posters criticizing Pope Francis' heavy-handed governance. The posters read, Romanaccio. Hey, Frankie, you have emasculated congregations, suspended priests, decapitated the Order of Malta, and the Franciscans of the Immaculate ignored cardinals. Where's your mercy? There's the Franciscio. At the end of this article, it goes on to say an amazing thing. Criticizing the Pope apparently has an upside. While Roman public services are noteworthy, While Roman public services are noteworthy for their inability to remove ubiquitous graffiti throughout the city, they were somehow able to remove all the posters criticizing the Pope before nightfall Saturday. Oh, you pitiful, pathetic lefties. The Pope is being totally exposed as being totally in bed with the world government, centralist authoritarians. Inside the Catholic Church, there is a war going on with the Knights of Malta, I believe they are, also opposing the Pope and his liberal policies. The Pope is just simply a remnant of the takeover of the pedophile covering, the pedophile protecting Roman Catholic Church, which does goddess worship in its own doctrine, seeing Mother Mary as sinless, born sinless and without sin, original sin. It's exactly the same as the Han Mother's heresy. It's the goddess worship. And the Catholic Church, of course, has been known to go into countries, monopolize power, go into countries, set up centralized governments, go into countries, emasculate the men, make the priests the new fathers of the families where the wives worship them, putting in younger and younger priest class that uses their youthfulness to lure women to literally marry the church and lure women to separate from their real husband and their families and then be controlled by the authoritarian, pedophile protecting, child trafficking Catholic institution, which of course is not biblically based. And it's funny how the Roman public services take down these posters of the globalist Pope, which is out there as an emissary of Satan, trying to establish world governance and taxing people for breathing, putting on carbon tax. These people are all in the same boat. They are all agents of Satan trying to establish Satan's actual kingdom, political Satanism on the planet. Whether or not they are the Anglo-Saxon bloc, including the Catholic Pope as well, in the banking cartel crime syndicate bloc, because the Vatican Bank is one of the biggest world central bank. Or the second block of the Islamic Caliphate, Wahhabi-sponsored, Saudi Arabia-sponsored, terrorist, jihadi, Orthodox Islamist bloc. Or whether it's the Chinese Communist bloc that enslaves over 1.6 billion of this Asian people on this planet and organ harvests peaceful Falun Gong Buddhist practitioners of yoga. Whether it's any one of those demonic groups, they're all out to create Satan's kingdom. All out to create oppressive, centralized governments. All out to oppress free and true peoples who are made in the image of God and have all the power of the universe within them to rule and reign over creation in alignment with God. Now the kingdoms of this world and the satanic, demonic power blocks are beginning to collapse because the kingdom of God is coming behind this wave of the macrocosmic leaders like Trump, Nigel Farage, UK, now Frexit and Marine Le Pen, etc., and more coming as the revolution is sweeping the globe. These Antifa little cowards, these little beta male, little mace spraying, little fake little protesters, little rioters, little terrorists who will never square up for a real fair fight. All their little bitching and complaining will not stop the wave of the revolution of sovereignty that is sweeping the globe and the kingdom of God that is following behind. For now the kingdom is being preached atop this hilltop, spreading to all the kingdoms of this world. And Satan's kingdoms are being smashed and are on the run as political Godism, real Christianity, real kingdom gospel is sweeping the globe. We thank you for joining us this Monday, February 6th on the King's Report. We hope you have a blessed day, a praise God day. We hope you give all the praise, glory, and honor to Jesus, the Lord, the second coming, and his kingdom, the constitution of the kingdom, and the kingdom that is to come. Be safe, be well this day in this glorious, beautiful weather, and God bless. We'll see you next time on the King's Report.